Laurel Donnellan. Welcome. I am the proud founder and CEO of Compassionate Leader Circle, and I'm here with my beautiful Director of Compassion, Shamis. So why don't you say hello, Shamis, and introduce yourself? You're muted.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Shamis Pitts. Shamis rhymes with promise. And I am the Director of Compassion, so I serve in helping to create partnerships as well as support on delivery of content.
And I also have our senior faculty member, Jay Smith, on audio today because she will be leading future sessions. So welcome, Jay. And we'll get started. So we are recording this, so if you want to keep anonymous, I ask you to just type in comments, and we won't be using your name. None of this will be shared. The only thing that will be shared on the broadcast is Shamis and I, and what we have to say in our video. So for the opening circle, I'd like everyone just to close your eyes first and breathe in abundance and breathe everything else out. And open up your eyes. And I have been attending some amazing webinars and support groups and meetings on Zoom myself. And I've heard a lot today about worry. So someone shared something that Annie Lamott, who's one of my favorite writers, has written, and she said, worry is like praying for the things you don't want, which I really love. And someone else said, worry is like shopping at your own garage sale, which I also really love. And I'd like to bring an intention to today's session. We're going to be talking about abundance and authenticity. And my intention for today's session is turning worry into wonder. So really bringing your worries into the space of curiosity and openness. I know that that may be hard. We're all going through our own version of things that are difficult right now. But I'd like you to bring into the circle maybe something that you're concerned about and how you can bring wonder to that. So I'll give you an example. So I have an amazing team and I have an amazing company, and we are a little more than a year into our first year. And my worry a couple of weeks ago was how are we going to sustain our company in this new iteration of life and work. And my curiosity helped me listen to Shamis and other people on my team, and out of that came this series through the month of April. So I think when we can bring curiosity and wonder and listening to our worries, some amazing things can happen. So I'd like you to share maybe something you're worried about or was worried about, and how you can bring wonder or curiosity to that. And you may have to think for a minute. So just take a minute and then ponder that, and then type that into the chat if you can, to bring that into the circle. And Shamis is going to share not who you are, but what you have to share in this, in any of our exercises today. And you can do that, Shamis, whenever we have anything from the group.
Sure. And while I wait for that, I'll share worries recently for me have been around my family and how they're doing and who's still working and who's not. And I realized that I was getting texts from people, but I hadn't spoken to them on the phone. And so I focused my worry into wonder by saying, okay, I'm not going to stay in this text space. I'm going to pick up the phone and really hear about how they're feeling and how they're navigating. And it just really shifted for me to have that information, but to also just comfort in hearing their voice.
Beautiful example. Thank you.
In the chat, I hear, what are some tips for how to spark my curiosity?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can share that. I'd like everyone that's on, if you can post a question or anything else that comes up when I ask you what you're worried about, and to bring wonder and curiosity to that. So tips for that, first of all, be quiet and slow down. I think in crisis, our tendency is to get busy with solutions before we go into innovation, imagination, or wonder mode. So I would say tip 1 is slow down. Tip 2 is brainstorm and listen to other people. So if you're struggling with a worry, share it with someone you trust, or a therapist, or a support group, or write it down or draw about it, but get it out of your body in some way. And then just have an intention for 24 hours to find another answer or find another inspiration for the worry or concern. I hope that helps. Any other comments or suggestions, Shamis?
No, I thought that was good. Giving yourself space. I think tip 1 and tip 3 tied in together nicely, where you're slowing down and being in inquiry to open up possibility for what else you hadn't considered.
Yeah. But is there any, I noticed some people are.
I'm just, I'm sharing your tips.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or anyone checking in?
No,
okay.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Our agenda today is we're going to talk about vision, purpose, and compassion as a way to ground ourselves. Then we'll move into a contemplative practice. Our topics today around the Donnellan Method and exercises are abundance and authenticity. So we'll talk about those 2 things. Shamis and I will share some resources for you. We'll have a Q&A if there is questions, and get back to helping you create a daily commitment plan, and then 3 breaths and a closing circle. We will stop the recording at the end of that agenda and open up the audio in case you want to chat with Shamis and I, and if you have any questions or if we can offer any support that way. Our vision as a company is we see a compassionate world where we are valued, celebrated for our humanity, dreams, differences, and ingenuity. It's a very important time to look for a compassionate world. I think what I found this week is the least, my ability to see a compassionate world and see good is related to how little I watch the news. Because there's a lot of really great news out there and people doing beautiful things every day that's not necessarily being reported on. So we are here to support you in this circle and to bring our compassion and our purpose and help you bring your compassion and purpose out into the world. Our purpose for these circles and this program that we're running through the end of April is to create an authentically connected community, to let you know that you're not alone. We're here every day for you. We're dedicated to healing and helping you amplify compassion in your life, clarify your purpose, and help you get through this and beyond this. So we're in this together. Welcome to the circle. foundation for everything we do at Compassionate Leaders Circle is compassion and helping people understand the power of compassion. We help people do three things. Pivot with purpose, which is helping people change directions, which it seems like all of us have to do right now in a more accelerated way. We help people become better, stronger leaders, and we teach coaching skills. And at the foundation of all those programs is this amazing body of research that has happened over the last 15 years that is really proving with evidence what the sages have always known, that compassion fuels positive change. Compassion is an antidote for fear, and it actually, practicing compassion will boost your immune system. So there's nothing better than kind of sinking into compassion right now. We help you and ourselves balance three things, three different types of compassion. One is self-compassion, being kind to yourself, and you don't need another person for that. You can sit and talk to yourself. You can write to yourself. You can meditate. There's lots, you can take a lavender bath, which is my new self-compassion practice. There's lots of ways of practicing self-compassion. You don't need another person to do that. It's all on you. Vulnerability to others is sometimes harder for people, but more and more people right now, because of the crisis we're facing, are going to have to be vulnerable to others and ask for help. That might mean asking a neighbor to get groceries for you. It might be calling your doctor when you have symptoms. It might be telling a loved one that you're scared. So vulnerability, you need at least one other person to be vulnerable with. And I think getting through this and maintaining your mental health and your sanity is going to be about vulnerability. And then compassion for others and being of service to others is the third type of compassion. All three of these are important, and I would have you all challenge yourself right now. Think about these as being dials. So which one of these dials do you have to dial up and which one do you have to dial down? Because our tendency, for example, if you're a helper, you might have to help thyself, and self-compassion might have to, so being more compassionate for others, I don't want to discount that importance, but for you to maintain and get through this and be sustainable, you might have to dial down the compassion for others and dial up the self-compassion. So I'd like everyone to just pause right now. Think of these three things as dials and write in the chat, what do you need to dial up and what do you need to dial down a little bit? And I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying what's going to create more balance for you. So I've already shared compassion. Last week it was dialing up self-compassion. I think I'm doing better on that. I think for me this week, I'll think about the week is going to be vulnerability to others and asking for more help, and dialing down my compassion for others. Not that I don't think that's important, but as a leader, I have a lot of people that I need to put to work and empower, and I'm going to have to ask for a lot of help. And the other cool thing is we're getting a lot of people that want to help. So I'm going to have to pull up the help. So Shamis,
we have, yes, one share, dial up self-compassion and vulnerability to others. So there's nice. A twofer. I want to acknowledge, well, thank you for sharing. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that you touched on that you have a natural orientation, and because things are so fluid from day to day, you might even, regardless of your natural orientation, what you need to dial up and dial down may be different every day. Yeah. And so I thought that was really clear.
Yeah, I think we all have our natural ways of being, but when we're working in a community or a company, we have to sometimes shift away from our natural tendency and shift into another way of being to serve the community.
We have another share, need to dial up vulnerability. I'm in an effort to show strength and in an effort to show strength, I neglected what I needed to be strong. In an effort to show strength, I neglected what I needed to keep strong. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think we all need a lot more help than we're getting right now. That's my belief. And so I think you know, compassion really can't happen without vulnerability. It's really the bridge to vulnerability. You know, vulnerability is the bridge to compassion. And speaking of vulnerability, Brene Brown is on, I don't want you to leave our program, but Brene Brown is on 60 Minutes today. I'm excited to see that. And she is someone who has researched vulnerability, and watching, it's being recorded, so I'll be watching that later. Shamis, anything else you want to say about compassion?
We're good.
So let's all get comfortable. We're going to do a short contemplative practice related to enough. So abundance, which is one of our topics today, is having enough. So I think is a great topic. So if you can just close your eyes and focus on your breath. Try not to change your breath. Notice your spine, notice your seat, notice your hands. You might want to have your feet on the ground, and if you need energy, you can have your palms up. If you want more groundedness, you can put your palms down. And breathe in abundance, enough. And space, and breathe everything else out. Breathing in the idea of abundance and enough. Breathing everything else out. If you can, in your mind's eye, imagine the idea of abundance taking on a color and landing in your heart. Just allowing that idea of abundance and that color and that breath to move into your abdomen, into your hips, into your thighs and knees and calves and feet, and letting that idea of abundance move into the earth. And that pulling that idea of enough and abundance into your feet and ankles and calves and knees and thighs and hips, back up through your abdomen and solar plexus into your heart, moving that idea of abundance into your shoulders, into your neck, through your head, back through your arms and out through your hands, in the universal energy that connects us all. And allowing your higher wisdom to give you an intention. It could be a word, it could be a picture for today's session, for the rest of today's session. What is your intention? What is your word? What is your idea? Allow that idea or word or picture to land in your heart. And then you can open up your eyes and come back to the room. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Barbara Novak, who's one of our faculty members who took this picture, who lives near Mount Rainier. And when you come back to yourself, you can type in if anything came up as an intention for our time together. That would be great. That. My image was, I just saw a little bluebird egg, this tiny little egg with a spring is here, and a little bit of joy and a little bit of breaking through spring came to me.
Mm. My color is blue. It always resonates a lot for me because of the sky and for water. I connect with abundance with that color, and I was actually focused on a bird soaring against the blue sky. So we're in sync.
Anything from the group?
Nothing's being shared at the moment.
Okay. It's fine. We're going to move on, and if you want to share that later, that would be great. So we're on this journey to travel through the Donnellan Method every week, and even though we'll have themes for every session, just so you know, every session will be different. On through courage and faith and awareness and truth. Shamis led balance and love yesterday, and today we're focused on abundance and authenticity. This method was developed to help people through career and life changes, and the research that I've done on all that for 22 years. It's been used for lots of people who've been in crisis and people who haven't been in crisis, but we thought we would share it with you to help you through this time and help you remember when you've been strong in the past, and that in the present everything is okay, and that in the future things may get through this and we'll get beyond now. So wrapping up the present and being yourself, we're going to talk about abundance, growing prosperous habits first, and then we'll get into authenticity. So it's been really interesting for 22 years to talk to people about abundance and growing prosperous habits. And over those 22 years, I've come to realize that abundance is so much more about other things beyond money. It is really important about money, and I know a lot of people out there are struggling with how they're going to make it through financially in this crisis, and maybe they were struggling before, and there's other people with plenty of money who are showing their abundance by sharing it, which I really appreciate. I also have found that in this work with people, that people worry about not having enough money, but they also worry about not having enough time and not having enough opportunities. Like right now, I think it's really helpful bringing this back to bring wonder to worry, that we have an economy. It's in a crisis right now, and it's in transition right now. So there's some things that are going to contract, and there's some things that are going to expand, and holding this idea of curiosity with opportunities is going to be really important. Some of you who've gone to jobs now have to work from home, and so that bringing curiosity to that is important. Some of you may lose work and have to transfer into a different company or industry, and bringing curiosity to that's going to be important. So growing prosperous habits is more than just about dollars and cents. It's about time and opportunity and love and having enough of everything. So right now, I'd like you all to ponder in this moment, where do you have excess? Where do you have more than enough? So that might be toilet paper. My sister shipped me some. That might be time. Maybe you have time that you can give. That might be love that you want to share with other people, with your family members, as Shamis so beautifully shared. You might have more than enough meat in your freezer. So first write down somewhere where you feel abundant and you feel like you have excess, extra. And then write down something that you may not have enough of right now. So maybe that's sleep. Maybe that's money. Maybe that's people you can be real with. So I think, again, using this idea of dialing up and dialing down, thinking about those places where you have more than enough, where you might be able to share some of those things with other people, and a place where you're feeling like you don't have enough. So first, what do I have more than enough of? Second, what area do I feel like I'm lacking in? And third question is, based on those two things, how can you share your abundance with others? And how can you be vulnerable and ask for help to get what you need? So where do I have more than enough? Where am I lacking? How can I give? How can I receive? So it's 4 questions.
While we wait for people to share, I'll one of the participants earlier also saw blue floating
We're all
down
on the same wavelength.
floating down a calm and flowy river.
Very nice. I always see purple, and today I saw blue, and I saw bluebird and blue. So
one response: where do you have excess? Ideas.
Nice.
What do you not have enough of? What do I have not enough of? Physical touch, and not sure how I can give or receive here. Thank you for sharing that.
Beautiful. Well, I would love to help that person share their ideas. It's funny, I have a client who is actually going to write a piece about, and I can share this because she and I have already talked about it. Share a piece about sex and pleasure in place. And I think Trevor Noah is talking about this too. He's like, he's single and he's in his apartment by himself. But I think there's techniques for self-massage and yoga and lavender baths and things that you can do that may not be a human being touching you, but you can help yourself with that. And I understand deeply and personally about having a lot of ideas. I think there's a lot of people right now who don't have a lot of ideas that need other people with ideas. So maybe it's finding a mentee, or maybe it's helping someone solve a problem. I would highly well, it kind of is a perfect segue into our next topic, which is authenticity and finding and expressing your passions. But whatever your expertise is, there's probably someone out there that you can find either through your own network or LinkedIn, or if you have expertise that you want to volunteer with or help people with, you can let us know that through our contact page, and we'll hook you up with someone who needs your ideas. Because I think there's a lot of people lacking ideas right now. I can use that. That's a really great talent right now, and I want to help you express that if I can.
Another participant shared, I have enough love and friendships. not enough focus on health and exercise, to share abundance of love with others, reach out and show compassion to those isolated and disconnected, in terms of the third question. And I could receive help and encouragement from others to create more self-discipline.
Yeah. I was in a meeting earlier today with a bunch of women, and all we talked about was eating too many cookies and not exercising enough. So I think health buddies, people who are, thank God I have a friend nearby who's walking every day, and she like gathers us up. And I think having a health buddy is a great idea. And sharing, we can't share enough love right now. There's just, there's a lot of people that need that connection. So thank you so much for sharing.
Okay.
Shamis, you want to share anything on that?
I have an abundance of energy. And so right now I am, what do I not have enough of right now? Healthy exercise practices. That's been my thing. I lost my accountability partner, my trainer. So I'm still figuring out that piece. And how can I share my abundance with others? And how can I be vulnerable and receive what I need? I think the vulnerable part, I get to ask for ideas and especially about who'd be other accountability partners, because that's when I'm really at my best. And so I get to be open and put out feelers. And giving, I mean, I'm giving all week.
You're giving. One thing I'll share as a tip for those of us struggling with exercise is I rolled out I have this giant bathroom I'm very blessed with. So I realized that I have enough room in my bathroom to do yoga. So I rolled my yoga mat, and I actually did a downward dog today after my lavender bath because my yoga mat was right there. So I think we all have an opportunity to reorganize our space for health and wellness. Fantastic. Anything else before we move on?
No, ma'am.
So authenticity is finding and developing passions. I think it's another great time to be creative about what our passions actually are. I think I mentioned earlier, I think we're all learning so much about ourselves. One of my dear friends who loves sports, I met with him yesterday, and he's like, you know what? I don't miss sports at all. So I think one of the things we can ask ourselves during this time is, what is a pattern and what is a passion? So I define passions 4 ways. So the first is things that we are really curious about, back to curiosity. So things that we want to learn about, things that we want to read about, things that we Google about. It's actually more important to be passionate about learning about something than it is about knowing something when it comes to having work and a life that we love. I always tell people, if you aren't reading your journals and your newsletters related to your profession, it's probably not for you, especially if you're a doctor and you're not reading your medical journals. It can be actually dangerous for people. So it's really important that you reconnect to what are you curious about, what really is an interest that floats your boat, that really lifts you up. So there's interest, there's things that we study. So that's the first type of passion. The second type of passion is, what are our talents, right? So talent, I've redefined talents as those things when you're doing them give you energy back, right? So there's lots of things that adults are really good at that may drain you. Those are not talents in my definition. Those are skills, and it could be a trap to use your skills if they drain you. Talents give you energy back. So one of my talents that I rediscovered today is I'm really good at, I've helped 100 children write, illustrate, and publish books. And I haven't used that in 9 years, but I dusted it off today, and it was like riding a bicycle. It's kind of a strange talent, but it was really fun to use it. And I got as much, maybe more from that interaction with my niece today, helping her do that than she probably did. So that's talents. That's the second type of passion. Third type of passion is your environment. So where do you need to be enlivened? You know, some of us need to, I've been working at home. My roommate keeps saying, how's working at home for you? I've been working at home for 22 years. So some of us do really well. Some of my clients should never have worked from home. Like they will be doing laundry and they'll be watching soap operas during the day and they will not be working. But figuring out, and right now it's as much about life as it is about work. Where are the places you can go right now that are the right environment? That might be going to the window and looking at a tree. That might be, you know, creating an altar in your bedroom. That might be reorganizing your pantry because you're tired of looking at a mess in your pantry. So thinking about what type of environment works for you. I'm lucky enough that I live in the country, so I can go outside and see a lot of things. Some people aren't that lucky right now, but thinking about your internal environment and how you can enliven yourself through environment. The fourth type of passion is your style. Style goes beyond skills and talents. It's the way you are, right? So some people are humorous. Some people like to swear. Some people like to be spiritual. I always tell people that ideally having a calling is about being yourself. Mm-hmm. If you think you have to be one person at home and one person at work, I call that work-life personality disorder. Ideally, we want to be the same person at work and in life, the same person that's integrated. So 4 different types of passions, again. The first being interests, what you're curious about. The second being talents, what you enjoy doing that you can master and get energy back from. The third being your environment, and the fourth being your style. So based on all that, I would like everyone to share at least 1 or 2 passions that they have that they can tap back into as a way to get through this week.
Let's see. Still waiting for share in the chat, okay. But I'll share.
Okay.
For me, I've been really I've been carving out time to do professional development, which I've enjoyed, which I block in my calendar to be focused and committed to doing my professional development time. And I have, over the past couple of months, I've bought several books that I really want to read. I collect articles all the time. And so this week I'm going to block and tackle time to really connect with the reading, because I'm really excited to read it. And now I get to actually create space for myself to enjoy and learn.
Great. And I always enjoy cooking, but I have more time to cook right now, and so that's another thing that I'm doing is instead of cooking something quick, I'm doing recipes that are a little more intricate. It's fun.
All right, 2 passions from one of our participants: learning new things and sharing a new perspective with others to open their minds to a new worldview.
Nice. Beautiful. So, Shamis, I will have you share on this first and I'll fill in.
So part of my job is to connect people to resources and talk about how we might be able to partner to explore compassionate leadership within your life and organization. And so with that, if you're interested to reach out, please reach out. I would love to talk to you about what we're up to, go deeper into some of our programs. Because right now, as Laurel, as I just mentioned, which hadn't even occurred to me, it's a wonderful time for professional development and personal development to help us transition into what's next. And the foundation of what we do is change management and coaching, which is all about helping to figure out where you are now, where you're trying to go, and how to close the gap.
Thank you. So there's lots of resources on our website. If you go to the About page, we have extra resources and media and visualizations and things. We have group programs. Those of you that may be struggling financially, we have scholarships for any program. We always offer some scholarships. So keep that in mind. I have also one 14-week program to give away by one of our coaches that's generously donated that. So if you're looking for one-to-one support and may not be able to pay for it right now, we have a scholarship for our one-to-one program. So write to us through contact@compassionateleaderscircle.com. And on our podcast and post pages, we have a new podcast that I'm doing with another leadership development expert named Uvini Lubecki. And we also have articles that we write for Forbes on compassionate leadership. Please invite your friends to join us daily between now and April 30th. We cover a lot of different topics, as you can see here, that relate to the Donnellan Method. Tomorrow we'll talk about creativity and integrity, then on to vision and commitment. Wednesdays are going to be about compassionate leadership, and then we start our model with courage and faith on Thursdays. Any questions or comments or insights that anyone wants to share at this point?
Anything that came up for anyone in the back of your mind that you hadn't been thinking about and it popped into the front of your mind as we were talking? I gotta thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to wrap up, I'm going to ask you to think about everything we talked about today: compassion, abundance, and authenticity, or anything else that you were inspired by, and think about one thing you can complete in the next 24 hours related to what we've talked about, and write that down. You could share that in the chat. That would be great.
Oops. Well, I'll share mine real quick before we complete.
Well, actually, I'm going to have people share them in the closing circles.
Oh, okay.
So we will just take 3 breaths, focus in on your breath, and just take 3 deep breaths. And we'll check out with the closing circle. And you can check out with your commitment or anything else you want to say to feel complete today. And Shamis, I'll let you go now.
I am committing to looking at my calendar tomorrow. I'm committing to not doing anything else this evening and looking at my calendar tomorrow and blocking and tackling. So I have things to look forward to with my reading time, and it's making me pretty excited just thinking about it.
Thank you. And anyone else can type in chat about what they want.
One participant shared start morning with yoga.
And I'm gonna start with 5 minutes of yoga a day, starting with tomorrow, at least 5 minutes.
Wonderful. And I can check in with you.
Yes.
As an accountability partner.
We can have a company accountability for health and wellness right now. That might be a really good thing.
Yeah.
All of us. Self-care and health and wellness.